From the headlines that move us
to the plays on the field and the people making a difference.
It's news, sports, and stories that keep our community alive.
This is the Heartbeat of Tampa Bay.
I'm Christopher Ingram.
And I'm Sarina Fazan. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Christopher, this is the sweetest thing ever.
Yeah, we got the cascading hearts with the one green one.
Oh my gosh.
The graphic was done by Julie Schaefer at AdSharp Web Design, who does all of our graphics. And that was for you.
You are so considerate, because as you know, green is my color, my branding color.
Right, because your beautiful green eyes.
Oh, you're so sweet. Well, and I shared this with people. I was so scared becoming an entrepreneur, but I had all of these wonderful people helping, and I didn't know what color to do. I didn't know what to do. So they said green because only 2% of people
in the world
have green eyes.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the heart because
you like love.
I'm in love with love.
Well, happy Valentine's Day. We have a little gift for you.
Ingram.
A little bouquet of flowers, and there's some hearts there for you too.
Oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. And did you know that roses are my absolute favorite flower? And pink roses are my favorite.
Well, there you go.
Oh my gosh, is he not the best? That is so sweet.
Okay, so
seriously, no, thank
happy
you so
Valentine's
much.
Day.
You are such a blessing and such a gift in my
Well,
life.
so are you. I just love doing the show with you. This is your favorite holiday, right? Valentine's Day. So tell me, what's your tradition, Valentine's Day?
Well, you and I were talking about it a little bit before, and this goes honestly to why I love Valentine's Day so much. It doesn't need to be, people are like it's very commercialized. Yes, I do understand that. But for me, it's about the people you love. And when I was growing up, my mom and dad they were very romantic with each other, I'm sure. My dad took my mom out on a date and all that stuff.
They had you.
They had, oh yeah. It's so embarrassing, to think of your parents that way, but they would always do a party for us. And my mom would have cupcakes and cookies and they would always say, you guys are really the love of our lives. And the first person that ever gave me flowers was my dad.
Very cool.
On Valentine's Day. So I think it's what, what you grow up with, and that's why
it means so much to you.
So much to me.
So you also share your enthusiasm for Valentine's Day with your beautiful daughter, Sammy. And
yes, and with Ted, of course.
What do you normally? Of course, Ted. We're going to get to Ted. But what do you normally do with Sammy?
With Sammy, I do the exact same thing that my mom did with us. So for years, I had a mother-daughter dinner. And I would have her invite her 6 closest friends and the moms. And then I would cook dinner, I'd make dinner. And even now, I kick off the month with a Valentine's Day bag. So, just little things that, like hair ties or whatever that she might like.
Fun stuff.
And now that she's in college, I can't get there by Valentine's Day work and things like that. Yeah. But I could tell, so I'm going to go the following week, but I could tell there was a sense of disappointment that if I wasn't going to do something or come for Valentine's, around Valentine's. But
okay, so Ted, your boyfriend, 3.5, 4 years.
Yes.
You guys are going to Epcot today, and what are you going to do? What else you got planned?
Well, just go around the world and see how everybody is celebrating love, Christopher.
You were just in Paris. Are you going to go to the French Pavilion first, and you reminisce about being in Paris last week?
Yeah, you know what? That's so funny. I sound like such a world traveler. Buddy who's so amazing and making sure all of this also happens.
Our
right?
producer, yeah.
Yeah, and he called me the international correspondent.
Yes, you are the international correspondent, Sarina Fazan. So you're gonna have a nice romantic dinner, I take it, and after going to the parks. And is Ted? He obviously understands this is a really important day for you. I imagine. What does he normally get you for Valentine's Day?
Well, okay, so I want to say 2 things about that. I honestly feel, though, with Valentine's, so many people, if they go out to dinner, everything is, and no offense to the restaurants. I know the restaurants have to do this, and I commend the owners for doing it. It's a business. But it can be very expensive. Yeah. Everything is price fixed. Right. I think there's a lot of pressure. So usually the Epcot thing just kind of happened as something fun. But usually, we cook at home.
That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
The whole going out on Valentine's Day, it's kind of like New Year's Eve. It's
Right.
amateur night. And these are like the people that never go out to dinner. They, Valentine's Day, let's go, because it's obligatory. And then, like you said, it's busy, super crowded. The food's really not that great because they're just rushing, trying to turn tables so fast. And you see a lot of places do fixed price menus.
Yes.
I don't like going out on Valentine's Day. I'd much rather be at home and cook up a good steak.
Great. And okay, so speaking of the gifts, and I think what you tell everybody what you say about flowers. That I love when you said you have
about when I do or don't send
Yes,
flowers.
yes.
I never send flowers when I'm in trouble.
See, and I just think that's so sweet.
Yeah, I would much rather, like, if the person I'm dating, I did this with my wife too when I was married, if the person that I'm dating gets flowers at work or wherever, and they're from me, they better be from me, she's gonna know it's because, I'm feeling like, that connection.
Yeah.
And not that, oh shit, I screwed up last night and I need to apologize by sending flowers. I would much rather the connotation of a woman I'm dating getting flowers be positive than remind her of the negative that caused me to get in trouble.
Well, I just can't even, again, to go back, I mean, how thoughtful and sweet is this for me? I mean, I'm emotional and the hearts and all that. No, it's very sweet. And when you asked about the gift, I think, so Ted's the type of guy that, and I really appreciate this, and I do not expect a gift on Valentine's Day. If I get a gift, hey, I honestly don't.
You are never going to convince me that it would be okay with you if Ted did not get you a gift.
But I
mean, you're
honestly,
so sweet.
no,
but yeah,
you're
like
sweet,
you would be very disappointed. I know you would be disappointed.
No, but honestly, for me, the biggest gift is the time or the card.
Yeah.
It's like a card.
Yeah.
He's the type of guy that likes
the recognition of it.
Yeah, like out of and I don't blame you for not being surprised by that. But I honestly don't expect it.
Yeah.
Like he's the type of person that it could be, I don't know, January 13th and whatever random day, and he will get me
something,
a gift.
Yeah,
because
thoughtful.
He doesn't like the
commercialization of it. Yeah.
Yes.
And I didn't mean like that you didn't get some big gift, but like recognition, like with flowers or nice dinner or something. So you got him something really cool.
I did.
You told me about it earlier. Do you want to share it?
Yes. Well, and thanks to you because you always give me guidance. I got him a Yeti cooler, and the color this year happened to be their new big color happened to be green.
Oh, well, Sarina Fazan in the house.
Oh my gosh! So I even said to him though when I gave him the cooler, I said, because he likes blues. And am I talking too much on the show?
No, you're great. Sure? But you got to say why you gave it prior to today.
Yeah, because we were actually with friends in Fort Lauderdale, and he'd gotten like some frozen octopus, and he was going to stop at a Walmart, and there happened to be a Yeti store there, and so I got it for him, and I'm glad I gave it to him before Valentine's Day because of the color green. Right. I said, green's my color, but you love blue, and he said no.
Keep the green.
Those are the romantic things.
That's
He's
cool.
like, no. He said, because aren't we going to be using this together? So for me, and of course, going to Epcot in Orlando, we'll be carrying that cooler, not at the park, but we'll, like maybe bring some
Yeti coolers are really heavy. You're not carrying a Yeti around Disney World, that's for sure.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, you guys will have fun over at Epcot today.
And my heart is full because you have a special lady in your life.
I do.
Are we allowed to talk about
that? I mean, I've shared with her permission, a couple of pictures on Facebook. Her name's Stacy, and she's super sweet, great gal. We have a lot in common. We have a lot of fun together, and we're gonna go out on the boat. I picked up my new boat the other day, and so this will be my first outing in the new boat from the new house. And we were gonna go with some friends, probably to the beach, and then come home, and I'm gonna make her a nice dinner.
And on the record, guys, I'm a huge Stacy fan. In fact, she showed me her nails. She had a little heart put on her nails.
All right.
The very next day, what did Sarina
had
go?
the nail with the heart on it.
Yep, and the same color.
We'll have to throw up
Stacey.
a picture of the three of us. We all went out to dinner.
It was so nice. She is such, and just to see someone you care about, which is you to me, like a brother to me, to see you. You guys are just aligned, it seems. She's wonderful.
She really
she's a
is.
wonderful girl.
She's a super sweet gal.
Yeah.
All right, so Valentine's Day, we've covered all that. We have some other news and crazy things to talk about today, including a reckless driver on a motorcycle going 150. We got manatees being rescued. We got alligators being poached, and we're also going to talk about a little bit of heavier subject, the death penalty.
Right.
and then a little like, what do we do after football?
I know.
Like, hello.
It's like, hello.
Okay, so this motorcyclist, this kid, 19-year-old kid, we're not going to name him because it's not really necessary, but 19-year-old kid was going down 275 at West Shore, speeding on West Shore. FHP saw him by helicopter, and they started a pursuit. They chased him all the way to Carillon in St. Pete after he was going 150 miles an hour on I-275.
That is so crazy. And what about the FHP trooper spotted? His jacket says, "Don't get caught."
Yeah, the kid's jacket, once they arrested him, had "Don't get caught" on the back. We've got a picture of that we'll put up on the screen as well.
That is nuts. But the danger.
These kids.
Right. And the danger he puts so many people in, and then himself.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, going that speed, 150 miles an hour, I don't know if he's wearing a helmet or not. My friends that work in the emergency room say all a helmet does when you get in a motorcycle accident is it allows for you to have an open casket.
Gosh.
Because the
Isn't that
motorcycle
something?
accidents, they're just so horrific, and the number of people that get hurt and killed on them. I used to ride scooters when I was in high school. I laid that thing down twice in one day. I never rode another motorized bicycle again in my life. I was just like, I'm done with this.
It just makes me so nervous. And I know there's a lot of people who love and embrace motorcycles, and of course, it's your choice and what you want to do, and we hope that they are safe. But for kids like that,
and they give all the other motorcyclists a bad rap. The other thing though about just motorcycle riding in general, you could be the best motorcycle rider in the world, but you're down here in Florida, you're dealing with all these old people and knuckleheads from other states that aren't familiar with our roads and our laws for the road, and it's just dangerous. I would no more ride a motorcycle around the Tampa Bay area than, just about anything. I just think that it's a death warrant.
I know. It just makes me really nervous. And you're right. And even if what you just said, you could be the best motorcyclist, but even someone who's distracted and looking at the phone.
And there's so much of that.
Right. Yeah.
So much of that. And these kids, 19, usually the ones that are getting arrested for this kind of ridiculous behavior. He was charged with fleeing in an attempt to elude, reckless driving, and no motorcycle endorsement. This dummy didn't even have a motorcycle endorsement. So he's facing some serious consequences, thankfully. But these kids, particularly young boys, and I was there, their age at one point, obviously, and I did a lot of stupid stuff. And young boys, they have got all that testosterone going through them, and they feel like they're invincible.
Yeah.
But they're really not. And then you end up finding yourself in a situation like this kid, or like the kid in Tampa, the Bayshore.
The Bayshore
baby killer.
Racing.
Racing down Bayshore 110 miles an hour.
That happened on Sammy's birthday on May 23rd several years ago. And
horrific.
and right in front of her school.
Yeah.
So, and the lives that are impacted and the lives you change. And, of course, that baby and the mother died.
Just for the sake of selfish adrenaline, really. And these kids just, they don't have any sense of self-control, I guess. But all right, so another subject we're going to talk about is the death penalty.
Yeah, it feeds into with this 19-year-old kid, we don't know his intention. But with the Bayshore case, right, I really, really worked. That was a huge case that I worked on. It was one of the last big cases I worked on in traditional news. And that was not their intention, right, for that to happen. But sadly, things like that can happen, and people die.
Right.
In this case, they did not get the death penalty, but we just executed the first person of the year.
Right.
Not
Florida did.
not too long ago.
Yeah, Ronald Heath, he was 64 years old, and he killed a man named Michael Sheridan, who was a traveling salesman. And he and Heath's brother met in a bar, and they were going to go smoke some pot out in the back parking lot or something, and they ended up kind of kidnapping him and then shot him, killed him, stabbed him. The brother pled guilty, and he's serving a life sentence, but Ronald Heath, who was just executed by the state, he fought the charges, and he was convicted and sentenced to death.
Right.
So a few statistics. Florida is number one in death penalty executions last year. I think Texas was number two. Florida is also, interestingly, since 1972, when the Supreme Court validated the right of a state to have executions, because it was banned for a while. That was done in 72. Since 1973, there have been 30 inmates that had been sentenced to death in the state of Florida who were later exonerated. It means, for those who aren't familiar with that, it means they were convicted, they were sitting on death row, and then they were later released because of, in most cases, very overwhelming evidence that proved that they did not commit the crime for which they were convicted of, and they were not just put in prison for life, they were actually released. So I researched this a few years ago when I was writing columns for the Tampa Tribune, and I wrote a column that surprised a lot of my conservative friends, because I'm very much a law and order, very conservative in most things, politically and ideologically. But after studying this issue and recognizing that we had 30 instances in a period of about 50 years where the state screwed up and convicted someone and sentenced them to death, and then later realized it was a mistake and those people were set free, it got me thinking, like, what if you, and certainly I think if there have been 30 cases where people have been exonerated, there's probably a good chance that we have executed some people who were innocent.
Right.
And I just kind of came to the conclusion that because humans are fallible, our judicial system is fallible, judges are fallible, prosecutors are fallible, defense attorneys are fallible, juries are fallible. There's a good chance that people have innocently been executed. And my worst nightmare would be to wake up in a state prison on the death row, knowing I didn't commit a crime for which I was convicted. Can you imagine the horror of living your life in prison, knowing you're going to be executed for a crime that maybe only you knew you did not commit?
I mean, honestly, there's no words to that. And I could see where it would surprise many of your followers and people who know you because of your conservative. Like, I'm stuttering over it because I've studied the death penalty a lot as well. When I first moved here from Louisiana, I worked in New Orleans and I moved to Tampa. I was flabbergasted that in the state of Florida, you didn't need a unanimous verdict to convict someone to death.
Right.
In 2016, that law changed, and you did need a unanimous verdict. But in 2023, Ron DeSantis
changed it again.
Do you know there's only 2 states in the entire country, at last check, that do not require a unanimous verdict? Florida and Alabama. But Florida's bar is very low. It's like you need 8 jurors, And believe me, that's just the beginning of so many issues.
Right.
But I think that alone, like if at least require a unanimous verdict. And I'm very passionate about it too, because again, I'm not Michael Sheridan's family. My heart goes out to them, and we are not. And when I talk about this, I always want to stress, I feel so blessed, and please God, like I have not had someone
take it from you
something like this, right? So maybe it's easier for me to say I do not oppose, like I worry about the death penalty for the same reasons you do. But then can you imagine being the family member of somebody? So, that's why it gives me goosebumps. So I want to be very sensitive to that.
Right, I get that. And it is situational. I mean, I think that if there was overwhelming evidence that someone murdered someone that, was a member of my family or very close to me, I would probably want them to face the death penalty. But in that case, you're not being objective. You have a strong bias, and you're not really thinking clearly, effectively. And I just think, and I used to be very much for the death penalty until I started researching this issue, particularly the 30 exonerations. And I just can't wrap it around my head that the death penalty should be allowed when humans are fallible and we have probably executed human beings that are completely innocent.
Okay, yes. I'm going to share something with you that you're going to say, my God, Sarina, but that's like the worst example you could possibly give. But it's strange, right? So John Wayne Gacy was executed in 1994, I believe, but in Joliet, Illinois. And I went to college in Chicago, and I was working at a radio station. And I'll never forget, his last meal, he wanted Kentucky Fried Chicken, because he worked at Kentucky Fried Chicken, and fries, soda, and strawberry ice cream, or strawberries. And I remember thinking to myself, and now here is an absolute monster. So I want people to know, I realize he is such a monster.
Right.
But I kept on thinking, but is it really our decision to decide his fate?
Right.
Like, is it another human's?
Right, to take a life.
Yeah, it really, I don't know why, that it just stuck out for me. Plus, I was taking journalism classes. You know, we were really going and studying it in depth.
Diving in deep, yeah.
Yeah, and I really rarely share that story publicly because I'm sure people are like, really, John Wayne Gacy, you're using that as an example?
So would you say you are for or against the death penalty? Because I will say I am definitely opposed to the death penalty until such time as we can make it a completely infallible system and we're not ever going to execute someone who's innocent. I'm against it.
I would say I am too. And again, I know you always say that I always have to be nice about something. I can't help it. I say that with also saying that thankfully I am not.
Never had to experience being a family member taken by someone else like that.
But it does, I agree with you, it worries me. Like, one innocent person.
Yeah. No, I mean, can you imagine that being a nightmare? Like, it's just a nightmare.
Yeah.
Every day waking up in jail for something that you didn't do and you're going to face the death penalty for it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, enough of that heavy subject. Let's go on to something a little bit more fun. Alligators. We're in Florida. We've got alligators everywhere, right?
Yeah, like in all 67 of our counties, we have alligators.
It's everywhere. They're everywhere. You know, the rule is if it's water in Florida, you should assume there could be a gator in it. And that includes in the saltwater, in the ocean, in the Gulf, in canals, as well as swimming pools.
Oh my gosh! So we have that picture, right? Of
Yeah.
that gator like sunbathing
In Punta Gorda, like downtown Punta Gorda.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. It's so scary.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere. Oh my gosh, it's scary.
Do you have any idea how many gators there are in the state of Florida?
I heard there was like 1.3 million.
1.3 to 1.5 million.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people. I mean, a lot of gators. It's like more gators than people in most counties and areas.
Do you remember that story? And it was so scary. The beautiful jogger on the Pinellas Trail who got attacked by a gator. Like, it was probably early in the morning. I mean, just seeing them is scary.
Right.
You know, I mean, in the water, it's okay, but yeah.
But a lot of people are stupid about them too.
Yeah.
You know, you see videos on TikTok and Instagram and stuff where people like walking up to them on a golf course and taking close-up pictures and like, this is a wild animal that will eat you and drown you, and you will have a very miserable, slow, merciless death.
Yeah.
And the other most terrible alligator story out of Florida was that child in Disney World that got eaten by a gator at the Polynesian resort. I mean, can you imagine the parents were right there?
Oh my gosh.
I can't. I mean, just talk about gut wrenching.
I know.
That was just horrific.
Oh my goodness. It's awful.
Well,
but, alligator, but people, again, as you said, taunt them, but it's the meat, the skin. I mean, they're high value items too, right?
Yeah. So interestingly, there's a story that these three kids, two 19-year-olds and a 21-year-old man, somewhere like near Mayaca State Park, they actually went to Mayaca State Park after hours and they were poaching alligators. And guess how they got caught?
How?
Social media.
Of course, okay.
Note to criminals, don't post your plans on social media. So they got busted. It's not really clear on what they intended to do with these gators. Were probably like, the skins and the meat and stuff like that. But interestingly, I mean, look, there are alligator farms in Florida that sell alligator meat and the skins and that kind of thing. It's legal. The whole issue of alligators being on the endangered species list, do you know why?
Why?
Because alligators are really no longer in danger, right? There's
but the
millions and millions
right?
of them. That's right. So, but there are fewer than 1,000 American crocodiles in the Everglades. And so the federal government is keeping alligators on the endangered species list to avoid people from going out and shooting what they think is an alligator that is actually a crocodile.
Right.
So, because they're very, very rare. And
but what is the difference between an alligator? Can you tell?
Yeah,
the
I can tell the
You
difference.
can?
Yeah, if you study them, like an alligator's head is a little bit smaller. It's bulkier, kind of like a pit bull, if you will. And a crocodile is kind of like a greyhound. It's kind of got a long snout and it's more pointed, whereas the alligators is more blunt. But man, the scariest animal I have ever seen, they used to have at the alligator farm up in Jacksonville, they had like a 17-foot long saltwater crocodile.
Ooh.
That was the scariest animal I've ever looked at.
Oh my gosh.
It was really menacing and scary. But
I mean, just thinking about it.
you would
like,
not want to be
no.
eaten by a crocodile
No.
or an alligator.
No,
No
I would
thanks.
not. I would not.
Okay, on a lighter note, better note, happier note, a manatee was rescued. Did you see this story?
Yes, and how surprising where the manatee was found.
It was found in a storm drain.
In a storm drain
Right.
of all places.
Right, and some architect that worked in the area was walking into his building, I guess, and he saw this manatee in the storm drain, and he called 911, and Fish and Wildlife Commission came out, and they worked to extract the manatee with the local fire department, and they actually had to stop the rescue and get permission from the state to tear up part of the road in order to save the manatee.
That got a lot of people upset.
From tearing up the road?
Yeah, from tearing up the road.
Well,
I mean, on both sides.
I guess.
I see both. Like I could see people getting upset on both
Yeah.
sides. Like some people would be like, "Of course, we need to do anything to save the manatee."
Yeah.
But I could see some people being like, "What? We're going to tear up a road?"
Well, I was impressed that they were able to get permission from the state, and they had this manatee extracted within 2 or 3 hours.
I think it's wonderful.
And this was in Melbourne Beach.
Yeah, and I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, it was kind of a cool story.
Yeah, but I could see.
Yeah,
where,
people are upset. Oh, am I going to be late to work because this damn manatee? They're so cool, though.
Yeah, they're
Manatees
so
are
cool.
so cool. They're so
Yeah.
docile and gentle looking. Have you ever been over to Apollo Beach, to the Tico
Yeah.
site, and
Oh
seen the
my
manatees there?
gosh. Yeah,
they're so cool.
They're so comforting, and
Yeah.
so I mentioned that, but of course we got to tear up the road to get the manatee out.
Well, Fish and Wildlife Commission, which is like basically the state game wardens, they have an 800 number. Actually, it's 888-404-FWCC, and they encourage you to call them at that number if you see an endangered manatee in a bad situation, an injured manatee out in the water that might have gotten hit by a boat. They want to know about those situations and give them as much information as possible so that they can go and rescue them. And this, incidentally, this manatee that they recovered in the storm drain sewer, they took it to SeaWorld, which has a manatee recovery center, and they're nurturing it back to good health, and they plan on releasing them back into the
Oh
wild.
my gosh, isn't that so sweet?
Yeah, pretty cool. We like to end on a light, positive
Yes,
note, right?
we do always.
Okay.
But you and I are both feeling a little bit of withdrawal.
Yes, withdrawal.
Yes.
Like a lot of people, I would imagine.
Yeah, football. However, but
It's over.
Our Seahawks won.
Yeah, go Seahawks.
Go
You're
Seahawks.
from Seattle.
Yes, I'm from Seattle.
Yep.
So, yes, go Seahawks. Go Sam Darnold. Yes, I'm very, very excited. But yeah, football withdrawal. Do you?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely will feel it, I think, on Sunday.
Yeah.
And Sundays thereafter, right? But, we've got a lot of great sports here in Tampa Bay. We've got the Rays. Spring training will be starting soon. The Lightning are still playing. And, of course, March Madness will be coming up in a month or so.
Yes.
So there's still a lot of sports. But it really, football is my sport. It's your sport.
I know.
We're suffering the withdrawals for sure.
It is pretty cool with spring training, though, on how many, because we do live in a beautiful, warm climate that so many of the teams from across the country, come here, or they go to Arizona,
Right.
to do their
The Grapefruit League.
Yes, yes. So so it's fun to be able to enjoy some great teams,
Right.
and watch them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Play during.
We're so lucky to live here.
Yeah, we are.
So many great options.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about the performance you went to last night because I don't want to get you in trouble. There are certain things that we keep off camera, so Sarina doesn't get in trouble.
Well, Christopher, again, happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day to you.
And thank you again so much.
You're
for
welcome.
Your generosity and the beautiful, beautiful flowers. And I love this heart charm.
The
which
little
you
charm.
know. Yes.
All right. Well, you and Ted have a wonderful time at Epcot later on today.
Thank you, and you and Stacy as well.
Thank you.
I cannot wait to get a full report on
I
the
will
dinner.
give you a full report.
Yes.
Every story shared
Adds another heartbeat to Tampa Bay.
from courage to community.
We are so proud to tell the stories that keep our neighborhood strong.
Thanks for watching The Heartbeat of Tampa Bay.
Woo! Yay! Happy Valentine's.